Thank you so much for coming on my podcast. This is my friend Doris, and I met her last year. And I met her at the dance team that I joined, and I think it's barely been a year that we've known each other. And it feels like a very long time.
It does. Because
I think we're secret sisters, possibly. I don't know.
In our past lives, yeah.
In a past life. She has a little bit of RBF, and I also have RBF. So, like, at first we didn't talk for a while, and I don't really know how we started really getting to know each other besides being on the dance team and just generally chatting.
Yeah.
I can't remember a specific time or place, but she just has a good vibe, and I don't know, I kind of fell in love with her. So here she is, and she's blessing us. Tell us about yourself, my friend.
So, yes, my name is Doris. Was really excited that you invited me to your podcast. I've always wanted to do a podcast, so you're making one of my dreams come true.
Yay.
27, right? You want me to say my age?
Mm-hmm. Tell us
27. Grew up in family, first gen, Latino family, Central American, half Guatemalan, half Honduran. I'm the eldest, and you'll be able to tell really quickly soon.
I am also the eldest.
I know. Had two brothers, and then there's a lot of additional family members that are not blood, but consider family too.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I have a passion for dancing, community work or social services, and just growing, I guess you can say, right now in this part of my life.
I thought you were older, not just because not that you looked older, I just like your vibe just felt like older and more mature when I found out you were 26.
My name.
I was like, what? How are you only 26?
Yeah.
So you just have this maturity about you, and I could just tell that there was some deep stuff about you that I wanted to get to know, and then I roped you into getting your hair done, and then we spent many hours together doing your hair that day.
Yeah, I think we talked before then though too. You know
we did.
You know who it was? It was Mallory, I think, that got us to talk. Or was it the opposite? I can't remember.
I don't remember. She likes to get things out of people too, so we probably bonded that way too.
Yeah.
But I think I really got to know you better when I did your hair, because that took about 6 hours. So
you held me hostage.
we were giddy. We were tired.
My hair was so bad.
It was like green, and
I don't even
know. But she wanted all the things, so we bonded over that. But I wanted to have her on because, first of all, she is a beautiful dancer. When I saw her, I was like, I want to be like her when I grow up. She's so beautiful and confident, and you just have this like face when you dance that I just like love, because you're just like living your best life, and you don't have like nervousness. Like you don't have any, I don't know, I don't feel the nervousness or anything like that. And you're just beautiful and confident, and I just love that about you. And then you also taught a heels class, and I've never been to one. Mm-hmm. You were literally the first time I ever did that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't have any idea what this was. I literally had no clue. I was like, are we just going to dance in heels? I already know how to do that. But okay.
No, it's not salsa dancing or bachata. This is different.
It was very different. So that pushed me.
And the knee pads.
And I did not have those the first time. My knees were bruised. So anyways, I wanted Doris to come on because I wanted her to share a little bit about her life, and I really want to talk to her about dancing because I'm also passionate about dancing, and I want all of my friends also to dance and feel the joy that I feel with dancing. So that's why I just want to like have more people that have that passion to come and share with other people. So tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up for you.
So I'm actually not from Northern California, as you already know. Mm-hmm. I'm from Southern California, so born in Inglewood, raised in Lawndale, pretty much went back to school in Inglewood. And my childhood was not like, it's very different. Because one is, there's a lot of layers to it, but I grew up in poverty. Mm-hmm. But my parents really did a really great job in terms of, I guess you can say, kind of hiding it. But I could definitely tell right away that I was very different from a lot of other kids, because I was also, what's it called? A PK. And all the previous like Christian kids or PKs are like, probably right now.
I was an MK, so I get it.
So PK, for those of you that don't know, is a pastor's kid. Mm-hmm. And so what that means essentially is that your life outside of everything else is church, morning, middle of the day and nighttime. And
people are always watching you.
Yeah.
The pressure is on.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I was very into God and everything when I was really young. Like, definitely felt like I was one with God and aligned with all that. And then I think in my teenage years, probably normal is where I was like, I don't know if this is for me. And then in college, I kind of just really disconnected from that. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of been coming back to that, just I think in terms of spirituality and religion, trying to figure out what my relationship is with God and creator, or some folks just say universe, whatever that means, and really trying to find a solid grounding. But overall, growing up, I think in a Christian household, and then a very also Latino household, immigrant household, being first gen and the oldest, was a lot of pressure from the beginning.
Yes.
One, because I had to be, I don't know, I felt this pressure for me, especially when we started moving houses, because the first market crash, and then the second time, I had this, like I said, my parents did a really great job with raising me and my middle brother, and have a ball, like being kids and all of that. But I'll never forget when we moved, because we were really connected with the kids in our neighborhood and would play together all the time. Mm-hmm. And so when my mom told me, she said, Liz, she's like, we're going to be moving, so you have to say bye to like the kids and everything. And I was like, and I just started crying. Aww. And I was like, wait. And then I was like, I don't understand, where are we moving? And I thought that in my head we were going to move to like another universe, like just super far away from everybody. It's going to be a whole different planet. Over here having a meltdown as a freaking 5-year-old. And then I started crying, and my mom started crying too, because, you know, on her back end, it was like, oh my God, this is going to impact her so much and everything. And on my end, my whole universe fell apart, because all I was thinking about, well, where are our neighbors going to know that we're going to live? This is like goodbye forever. And all I had known at that time was just what I've seen in movies, right? And friendships as a 5-year-old. But when she's like, oh no, they're going to be able to know where we live and everything, and all that, you can keep in touch with them. And I think that was one of the very pivotal moments as a kid where that was like a core trauma memory for me.
Yeah.
And from there, that's where I think a lot of the having to grow up really fast came. One, because my youngest brother was born at that time too, when we were moving. And then we just kept having to move from place to place. So for me, I've never really settled anywhere. And so it's interesting moving a lot, because when I do start settling somewhere, I always get anxious. I'm like, This is not normal. Like, what's the next step?
No, that's funny. I don't think we talked about it, but I moved. By the time I was 13, I had already moved like 13 times.
Oh my God.
I moved a shit ton as a kid, so I have all of those memories and traumas attached to moving a lot. So I totally understand what you're saying, because I get a little antsy. When I bought my house, I was like, I don't know if I could stay in one place for a long time. It just was stressful. So I'm always like feeling this need for like change every like year or two. It's probably coming from my childhood and moving literally all the time.
No, and that's the thing is with moving and stuff, especially right now, because I recently moved, packing up all my shit, and like that looking at the physical boxes and having to box things, like brought up all of that anxiousness and everything. And I hate moving. Like it's stuff that I still have to work through, but it helped me unpack and pack all of those things. But so there was a lot of that growing up, and then having to then learn English too. I just realized that I spoke Spanish my whole life, and then I also didn't know. I think my close friends know this story, but not a lot of people. But I didn't know my name was Doris until the first day of kindergarten.
You didn't?
No.
What did they call you?
So my mom's name is also Doris.
Okay.
And so my name is Doris Elizabeth, right?
Okay.
So they'd always call me Elizabeth Liz, and again, identity crisis, right? Kindergarten me.
So confusing.
We're moving, I don't know my name, like midlife crisis as a child.
Oh my goodness.
And so I go into kindergarten, and they're like, Doris, and I'm looking over, like, my mom's not here. And they're like, no, your name is that. And so I didn't say anything because I was such a shy kid, and I didn't know English. I didn't know how to read, write. I didn't even know how to hold a pencil. And they basically told me that was my name. I was like, okay. Went home, and I was like, Mom, why were they calling me this? And she's like, that's your actual name. And I was like, what? But that really also, at the same time, I think helped me compartmentalize a lot. Because at home, I was Elizabeth, and then everywhere else, I was Doris. Mm-hmm. So in terms of, like, growing up in the poverty and church and all that, Elizabeth was the eldest daughter, you know, had to make sure that she set the example for everybody, was the one that had to make sure that she was perfect and didn't make any mistakes. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, just really set a good example. And Doris, on the other end, was like the very smart, very quiet, but always involved in something overall. And I think my worlds kind of blended in college, especially when I started going to therapy. Where my therapist at the time, she was like, so, like, Doris and Elizabeth are two very different people. And I was like, you know, she was right. Like, they're two different people. And then she's like, you know, you can choose, you're allowed to choose what you want in your life, especially in your upbringing, and then things that you don't agree with. But nobody ever provided that space for me to kind of, like, explore that. And I think now I've come more into realizing, like, no, I'm a combination of both. It's me, you know, but just that distinction, I don't know, just did a lot.
Yeah.
Overall.
When did you start going by Doris?
Since that time.
Oh, since then? Okay.
Yeah, so at home, this is what I was.
You were Liz.
And I'm still Liz.
Okay.
At home, because my mom's name was Doris. But then everywhere else I am Doris.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny, but I like that.
Yeah.
Your two worlds, your two little people, they finally, like, meshed into
Oh my God, no.
one.
And then this month, both of my worlds are gonna collide. So it's like my home family from LA is coming, and then my Yamaya people are gonna meet during the Thanksgiving potluck. So I'm like, it's like oh my God, they're meeting, like, I don't know, it's like bringing a boyfriend home, kind of, but on both sides. So I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna turn out, but we'll see.
Oh, yeah, well, that sounds fun. I think we talked about you being at BK and, like, all the different things you did. Did you do, like, Sunday school, teach Sunday school? Did you do worship stuff, youth group things? What about, did you do any of that stuff?
I did everything.
Okay, that's what I figured.
I did everything. So
you have to do everything.
No, you already know my personality. Like, I'm the type, I like to do everything. I think also I just like learning overall. And because my parents decided to go into being pastors and a little bit, I would say they were even more progressive with, like, making sure that women, you know, women were allowed to wear pants and all of that.
What a concept.
And then, you know, and then also have a woman be able to preach. Like, I know that's also something still even now that certain churches allow and don't allow. Probably going to cause some, you know, buzz around that. But I did, the Sunday school with a lot of the kids, and that's really where my passion for youth started. Okay. And so there was a lot of troubled kids that did come through the church. And really all they wanted was somebody to listen to them. And I love working with kids. I always try to make the lessons super fun, very artsy, involve some sort of music in there. And then I helped out too. They still have it now, but a food drive. So in partnership with World Vision, I think people who are very involved in church know World Vision.
I did. You did World Vision famine a bunch of times.
Yeah, so World Vision, and then, like, other partnerships too, right? Where, like, there's actual people who, you know, of faith and all that really are about the community, making sure that they get their basic needs met. So was basically managing all of that, all the paperwork and everything. I'm telling you. And as a kid, right?
Yeah,
now I'm thinking about it. And then I was also a part of the church band. So it first started off that I learned how to play guitar.
Me too. I told you we're twins.
Are you gonna sing?
What should we sing?
Well, What's one that
I don't know. You're 10 years younger than me at least. Actually, you're 12
You know
years
that there's
younger than me.
songs that are older than both of us, and they sing them every time.
Did you sing Our God is an Awesome God?
Our God. Yep.
Anyways.
Yeah, so I did guitar, and then piano, I think, really is where I really liked it, and I enjoyed it because I taught myself. The guitar kind of just, it took me to classes, and they're like, okay, she wants to get into music, like, let's do it. But piano really was where it was at, and from there, my middle brother, Byron, picked up the guitar, the drums, and he's amazing. He's an amazing musician. Cool. And the youngest one was kind of just like lingering around and pretended to do drums.
I just want to be a part of things. Yeah. I'm the youngest, help.
Yeah. And my dad, he sings. Like, that's his talent.
Right.
He sings and he plays guitar. My mom's more of like the public speaker. She preaches, does teachings, and very much a mother goose to everybody else. And a lot of counseling. She has a lot of insight to a whole bunch of things.
That's cool.
So I was really involved in church. Like, you can probably think of every aspect. All I needed was pretty much to just preach. Yeah. And that's it.
You just didn't do that yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you do like dancing and stuff at school or as a teenager, or not at all?
Oh my God. So it's funny that we are talking about church. So the first time I ever danced was on a worship team.
I was going to say, wait, did you have dance team?
So not only did I do it, I was full entertainment at church.
Oh, you know? My God. It was the Doris show.
I praised the Lord in all shapes
and
forms.
Did you do flags?
I did everything that you can think of.
Love it. I never did that.
So no, really, that's where dancing came from, was being on the, oh my God, what did they call it? The praise team?
Yeah.
I
don't know what you guys called it, but
I don't remember.
Most of my churches didn't have like a dance team. That was really ostentatious. That's like a lot.
Yeah, no, again, that's more of like progressive for, I started, my mom was a choreographer. So, you know, she was the extra hard on me and everything. Of course. And my dad, again, he was later in charge of like the music and everything because he was the singer. But there was a church that we were going to, and I remember it was oh my God, what was the area? Torrance, kind of that Torrance area in SoCal. And it was interesting because now I think about it, looking back, I was like, what got my mom into wanting to be, you know, dancing? I don't know. Maybe it was like something that she was exploring. But really, that's the first, I think, time that I was exposed to like sisterhood in dancing. And then just overall, that's, you know, the movement and everything. There was training that was actually involved that I went to every Saturday in downtown LA at this other church. And that's where I learned tambourine, I learned the flags, I learned the hands,
you learned all
the outfits, everything that you can think of.
I'm a little bit
and
jealous.
It was like amazing. I think a lot of the being around other girls that were a positive influence did have a nice impact.
Oh, I'm jealous. I didn't get to experience dancing with church. I wanted that so bad.
And that was like the one thing that I realized, like, oh my God, I really love this. And I would be like telling my mom and dad, I was like, okay, you're going to make sure that you're going to take me? Because we only had one cart too. So my dad was the one that drove us around everywhere. But I loved it. And
so it started early.
Yeah, I started early. It was probably 7 or 8.
Did you do any other kind of dancing, like in school?
Oh, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did that, and then there was a hip hop team. I think around that same time too.
Oh, okay.
And it was I forgot what song it was, but it was around that time when the Lakers were really good, and there was this really pop. I can't remember. And so I danced there, I fell in love with it, and then I got into sports pretty much in middle school, and then dancing came back in high school.
Okay.
There was a jazz contemporary team that I was on for like 2 years, and then there was a competition, won the competition, was able to perform at Paramount Studios.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so
and then everybody thought at my school that I was going to join the cheer and drill team. But I didn't, because I was so focused on my studies and making sure that I had good grades so I could just get a full scholarship to go to college and pretty much get out of where I was at.
And did that happen for you?
It did.
Yeah.
It did. Nice. So I ended up pretty much at UC Davis, and that was a big move for me because my family was so pissed off that I had applied to schools outside of
that's fine.
Outside of our city. They really wanted me to go to UCLA. Everybody wanted me to go to UCLA.
That's probably why you picked UC Davis, right?
Like, so I applied to UCLA, UC Davis, UC San Diego, I think, and UC Berkeley. There's one more. Santa Cruz was the other one too. Santa Cruz was the first one that I got accepted into, and everybody thought I was gonna go to Santa Cruz. Because they're like, oh my god, you love nature, you're such a hippie, like you would love it over there. And then UC Davis, I'd never heard of it. Like I did my research on the colleges just to make sure they had the majors that I wanted in case I wanted to switch. Because I went in first as a bio major and then later changed into the social sciences.
Okay.
And I quickly discovered that Santa Cruz was not it for me. Both my friend and I went at the time with our parents. I was like, yeah, this is not. I'm like, I love nature, but not to the point where I'm like so far away from like the city and all that. Then I went to UC Davis, and as soon as I stepped on campus, I was like, this is it. This is where I can see myself.
Oh, that's cool.
And then at that time too, I think it was towards the end of my first year, that's where I got introduced to Latin dancing.
Okay.
And then that's really how I got into bachata first and then salsa later.
Okay. Did you go to the Grand back in the day?
Oh, when it used to be open?
Yes.
Yeah. That was the to-go-to place. Also, because I didn't have a car.
Yeah.
I had a bike and then my college ID to be able to get me anywhere. So that's the other thing too, is because I didn't have transportation, I had to get creative with like how to get to places, go to socials and all that. And so I'd always either bike or take the bus. And then once one of my roommates got a car, just take my car.
It was over.
Yeah, it was pretty much, we'd go everywhere. But even when I had performances and let's say my roommate couldn't take me at the time, or I just couldn't find a ride, I would literally take the bus or shuttle to whatever social I needed to, figure out the whole system, and then come back. Just so I could perform or dance.
Well, obviously you were passionate about it and you really wanted to do it. So when you are those things, you figure it out.
Yeah, you do figure it out.
I was trying to remember the questions that I wrote down that I wanted to ask you. What do you think that dancing has done for you in your life? Or like meant to you, or both of those things?
So I've always said dancing, if you really want to get to know me, look at me dance. Because I think for the longest time I was never good at expressing myself verbally and didn't know how to communicate. Very passive aggressive with my communication, or just very passive, and so I was never really a confrontational person. And I know for me, I'm an avoidant and I avoid conflict like a plague. But I think with time I've learned that, you know, if there's something that you want, you have to voice it, and really dance was that voice for me growing up and even up until now, because there was a lot of things I think that I felt like I couldn't speak on, or I wasn't allowed to speak on, especially like the conservative home that I grew up in, the expectations that a lot of people put on me, and I accepted those expectations. So I kind of just like was whatever everybody else wanted me to be, and not really what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And so dance was the only time that was like me.
You could be your real self, kind of.
Yeah. And so that's why when people tell me that I love the way that you dance, you look so happy, you look so free, it's because I am. I'm not worried about anything else. I'm fully present and just immersed in whatever that minute or 3 minutes really is. Yeah. So that's what dance really is for me.
I didn't get started to dancing until I was in my 20s, and I never danced as a kid except for like when I was like 5. So for me, it's been a lot harder to like get outside of myself.
Yeah.
And really express myself. So I'm always jealous of people that can do that fully, because I'm still like super in my head about everything, and I'm trying to work on that, which is why I like those heels classes that you teach. Tell us what heels classes are.
Okay.
People who don't know.
Yeah, so heels classes, there's a lot of actually history behind it, and really it's come out of, you know, the LGBTQ community with there's these things called where they have, oh my god, I can't remember, but it's something, the balls. So there's these shows where people essentially go and they just show out with a lot of, I can't remember, with voguing. So you'll see a lot of voguing in heels, and really it's grown into something a lot bigger, because it's a combination of ball and then stripping and strip dancing. And so people, I think, still are trying to kind of discover what it is, but what it's turned into now really has been more into a lot of the sensual, sexual movements and everything. And there was a lot more, I would say, fluid movements before, but now it's a lot more sensual. You'll see the lingerie and a lot of very sexy classes, the boots that are all the way up here, or the fishnets and everything. And for me, the person that, well, the choreographer, the artist that really kind of stood out to me was Brenda Cole. She has been teaching heels for over a decade.
Is that Lady Letta?
No, that's not Lady Letta. That's Brie.
Oh,
Sacramento.
Brie.
Yeah.
Brie. Okay,
Brenda Cole
people.
is based out in LA.
Okay.
Yeah, but she's one of the OGs too, out in LA. And there was a video that I came across. I don't know what I was looking at. I always just used to watch dance videos, still do. And then there was a song called Powerful that has, I think, Ellie Goulding on it. I can't remember. And so I just clicked on it because I was just curious. And I was like, what is this? I was like, I've never seen anything like it. She had her leather boots and just like regular dance clothes. And I was like, this is amazing. And so I started looking through all of her videos. And I'm like, oh my gosh. At the time I was, I think, 20. And so that was huge for me too, because there's these, I think for me, I didn't really start exploring sexuality, sensuality, all that until my 20s, because there's still a lot of like shame around even showing any skin or wearing fitted clothes. That was a lot for me. I grew up being a tomboy, so I think with heels and seeing Brenda Cole, she really, and on top of that, she was an Aquarius, so for me, I was like, oh my God, she relates. But there was just like such badassery in her choreography. There was just a lot of feeling. Not so much sexual, but I don't know. And there's nothing wrong with the movements being sexual, but there was just something more in her choreography that I liked. And so she had a Valentine's event where essentially she teach you how to do your makeup. You can come in whatever outfit made you feel sexy, and then you do a chair piece. And so for my 21st birthday, I bought myself that, and from there it was over. Like I was like, I want to get more into this, and so I started training a lot more, looking into more classes, and that's where I found out about Lady Letto's. And Lady Letto's, I love Brie. One, because she is a plus size woman. She's also a Black woman as well, and it was just amazing to see somebody be so comfortable in their body and confident, that doesn't look like a normal dancer, right? And especially in heels, because everybody's very small, always light, white, and so just seeing her in that, I fell in love with her class too, and just her, I love her. Shout out
I followed her because of you, and I asked her to be on the show, so eventually we had it scheduled, and then we didn't get to, so hopefully I can have her on the podcast too. But I took a class, I think by myself.
You did the first time?
And then the second time you came, because I was like, all right, it's time to go do the thing. But yeah, she's really cool. I just really like her whole vibe in general. Like she's pretty cool, and I follow her, and I've chatted with her a little bit. She's got a cool story, I think, too.
She does too. I think there's some parts where her and I are very similar too. Oh, I think, another thing too with heels, like I guess we'll dive into this coming up. Where like I think it also helped out with just me being comfortable in my own body, because I grew up having an eating disorder overall, and I just hated my body for the longest time, and I think now finally at 27 I'm starting to accept it and be like, well, it is what it is, might as well love it.
27 was the year for me.
You too?
For a lot of things, yes.
Wow.
27 was my year.
I swear, you're probably my twin flame at this point.
I think I might be. But I don't know what it is about learning to like get outside of yourself and embrace that sexuality when you've been repressed so much in your life. It's just like, it's really hard, first of all. And then it's just really powerful when you do tap into it, even just a little bit. And it's just for yourself. It's not for anyone else. You can post about it, you can take a picture, or you just keep it for yourself. I just did that class and I kicked ass and I looked so sexy. And for me, I suck at those classes, so that's why I keep going. I cannot remember choreography. It's so hard for me. And I didn't grow up doing any of these things, so I'm just like, I keep forcing myself to do these things because it makes me feel good that I'm trying, and then I get a little more out of each class, and I get to see all these awesome women. Like, I came to your class first, I think was my first heels experience, and I was like, Doris looks like me and she's young and she's so confident. I wish I was like her when I was her.
Oh.
And I was like watching her dance. I was like, this is so much fun, and I'm just gonna keep trying. And then I went to Bree's class, and I don't know if I've done any other ones yet, but. Okay, so we were talking about heels class and how it's a safe space for everybody, and I keep encouraging my friends to go, and I have to keep encouraging myself to go because every time I go, I'm hurting afterwards because I'm getting up and down, and my knees hurt, and I can't do all the movements. I'm like, I can't twerk, but I'm gonna try anyways. I am not used to like these kinds of movements, but it's gotten me more comfortable with myself and my sexuality and whatever.
Yeah, you just feel really. I don't know.
Something afterwards.
Yeah, there's just something afterwards. I think it's also really behind the teachers that teach the classes.
Oh, yeah.
Bryn Nicole just has, I adore her and admire her so much, and there's such intentionality behind her classes because she wants you to really look inward and express yourself through dance, and that's what dance is for me, right? So it's perfect. And then really with Bree, she looks at more of like, let's make sure that one, you feel comfortable in your own body. So let's just first touch, our bodies and our arms and see where it goes with this song, and look at yourself in the mirror and believe that you're beautiful, that you're confident, you're all these things. And also just leave whatever shit you have when you came in here out the door and let it go before we dive into this choreo, and you get to be just like this beautiful, sexy goddess,
She's very encouraging to people, even if you're struggling or
Yeah.
don't know what to do. Like, I liked that about her.
Yeah, and I think really with both of those two being my primary, teachers, and just learning a lot from both of them, with Bryn Nicole a lot more through her subscription. And then with Bree really was during COVID when she had some classes, and it really helped me. And I think at the time I also just needed it, especially COVID I think was a really dark time for me because I think for a lot of people, right, there was that moment of stillness, and I don't know how to stay still.
Me either, girl.
I don't. Like, I genuinely don't, and so it really forced me, and I fell into like this really deep depression, and heels was the only thing that helped me really, I think, work through that, and then also just explore other parts of myself that I wasn't able to. And then also just dress again. Like, the first time I ever wore shorts and then like a tank top was a huge thing for me. And so going from that and then to my last heels class where I was wearing lingerie and the tights and everything that's big, it's huge.
I get it.
I know you do.
And I do want to like bring up I was nervous to join any dance teams ever because I was one of the biggest people ever on the dance team, the first dance team I was on. And I definitely, it felt that I was. The director was kind of a sexist douchebag. So that was an interesting feeling, and then finally I quit, but I learned how to like be more confident and just be myself with dancing, but I was a little bit nervous to be on the Yamaya team too, but when I came, I saw people of all ages, sizes, whatever, and everyone was very encouraging and accepting, and I love that. So I fell a little bit in love with that. So that was nice, and to be able to take your class, and I was like, yes, somebody who looks like me. Yeah, it's so nice. And then I honestly don't really want to take classes from tiny, skinny people anymore. But at the same time, I'm like, whatever, I have to. But it's just like nice to be represented or to feel comfortable in a space that is typically for small people.
Yeah, representation does matter. And, the one thing I love about Yamaya is that I did see that there was different ages, different shapes. And I think, for me, I've always been the biggest person. And even if I am in an advanced team, every single time. Like, I've done, like I said, I had an eating disorder, so I've been like this before. And then I've been the biggest that I've ever been while being on the team as well. And it's crazy because I don't remember what dancer said it, or it was somebody maybe in the dance community, in the Latin dance community, but I think they mentioned, it might have been, I don't remember who, but they were talking about how they were at their biggest, but that was when they had the most success, were the most technically like advanced and just living it up in their dance career. And then the same thing happened to me. I think once I finally let go of like, okay, am I going to let people tell me how I need to look in order to dance, or am I just going to go back to that root of why I love dancing, because I can actually express myself?
Yeah.
And I did. And honestly, once I started letting go of those things and really just embracing the process, even though I was freaking out of breath and sweating like crazy. And then at the time too, I had like so many different colored hairs. She was going through, you know? I was able to just really push through. And then now I reached the biggest I ever was, but that was also the first time that I ever performed at a Congress. I had danced with Andrew, which you know who he's a world champ, and I don't know what he saw in me, but he's like, okay, you're gonna lead me and do this, and I was like, what? And so that was a lot for me, because I was scared to go back on stage, the biggest I ever was as a dancer. One, because I'm like, well, the COVID-15 20 is so real. But really, that was a lot of just depression and a lot of stuff that maybe another time we'll talk about. But I think just having people who look at talent and look at heart and look at passion makes such a difference, especially for people who are much bigger. Because I don't know, I think sometimes there's things that are not said, but the way people treat you as a big girl. It's I don't know how to explain it. And, like, you could just feel it and you can see it, the way that you're treated or you're not. And so I think for me, just receiving that from Andrew and Em was everything to me, because if I wouldn't have
rare to find.
It's rare to find, sadly. Yeah.
It's really sad, especially in a dance scene.
Yeah, and I think somebody who's not scared when they're doing tricks with you, like Andrew's like, I got you. And I'm like, he's got me.
Yeah.
But really, there's a lot of technicality that's around that. Like, you could be a bigger person and everything, but there are those things. And sometimes I do have my days, sometimes I don't. But overall, again, I think because there's that acceptance, I just continue to dance and wear whatever the hell I want to wear while I'm dancing. And at the same time, just like stop caring. And I think that's also just maybe with age, or
it definitely helps with age.
Or maybe I'm just I feel like I've reached that point in my life right now where I'm at, where it's just like I really don't care what anybody else thinks other than my circle.
Yeah.
And unless you want to be a part of that circle or you want your opinion to matter, you got to make the effort. Because I really don't care.
It's the greatest place to be, for real. Like, I go in and out of that sometimes, but it takes a lot to put yourself out there in general and to do all the things. And then people make comments and you just gotta like brush it off, and you just have to grow your own confidence and your own sense of self, and ignore what everybody else says, because everyone will always have an opinion. As they say, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has them. And some of them are stinky. But I don't know, it's nice also to see other people just living their best life and being whatever size they are and being confident. And so I'd always like to tell people, like, you just gotta, like, you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for someone else who's like maybe on the sidelines being like, I could never do that, but look at her over there, and or whatever.
That's so
you know?
true.
Because I saw people doing that and I was like, oh, I want to dance. I always wanted to be a dancer.
I always forget that because, again, I think because I'm also like an overachiever, like I'm very achievement oriented. So I'm only focused on the prize, right, or whatever achievement it is, that I do forget that there's little ones, there's other people that look like you that are watching you and are inspired by you.
Even us old ladies can look at you, a young, sexy girl, and get more confidence and more inspiration to keep going and do what I gotta do.
It's so interesting. I always find that so interesting because I have a big respect for people that are older than me. Even if it's a year or two, like, I think it's just a part of my upbringing. You respect people that are older than you because they're wiser and everything. And so when I do have folks that are older than me telling me I'm so proud of you or I'm inspired by you, and I'm like, you've done so much, like I'm barely doing anything. And they're like, but I realize, age really, it doesn't equate to life experience or where people are at, especially when it comes to their confidence. I feel like that's something everybody is always working on. And there's certain things, that we're really confident in and we're insecure about, but it just really takes that inner work and for you to be aligned with your values and what you care about to reach that full confidence, I think, overall.
And I don't know, like we're talking on my other episode, it's not like confidence is a destination. It's a journey, and you never fully get to some place. Yeah. And you're always growing, you're always walking this journey, you're just walking down the path forever. And sometimes you turn around and go back a little bit, you take a little nap, I don't know, but you keep going eventually. You know?
I like dig myself a hole, that's what happened.
Climb a tree, hide, I don't know.
I go through my very lows and my very highs.
And I think that's pretty normal. I think a lot of people have that and we just don't talk about it, which is one reason why I wanted to do a podcast, and I wanted to like kind of center it on confidence because I did not grow up confident at all, and I think also growing up in church does not exactly foster that environment for children or girls.
I was gonna say, you want to hear a story about how I dressed? Okay, so there was one time where I was in full skirt, okay, from like covering my ankles, you know, because you can't show your ankles. And I had a tank top, but I had a cardigan over. The thing was, the cardigan was a little bit see-through. I had this older lady come up to me and said, "What are you wearing? That's super inappropriate. How dare you?" And I felt like I felt like such a Jezebel when she said that. And I was only, I think, 11 years old.
Oh yeah.
And I already was uncomfortable with my body. So on top of me being uncomfortable with my body and then being told like, "You look like a slut," like, you know.
I was pretty much called slut a few times, and especially if you develop early in life. My mom always used to tell me, well, what'd she say? Those of us who are blessed with much we have a greater responsibility, which my mom had. My mom was not blessed with anything, and I was blessed with all of the things. So I was always told to cover up, and I always had to hide things, and I always we were wearing freaking windbreakers at youth group all the time because I didn't like my body, and I was small for myself, and I was sweaty, and I just so many weird things you think about.
Oh yeah.
And I just having to cover up. I remember one of my churches, my friend told me her dad told her that my pants were too tight, and I'm like, well, first of all, that's kind of gross, and second of all, but yeah, it's weird. And when that is your environment and that's what you're told, how the fuck are you supposed to ever love yourself?
Or even see anything past that. Like, I remember, I remember where there was summers, I would be in a hoodie and gym shorts and my tennis shoes and my freaking George Washington ponytail.
Well, I just wore t-shirts over my bathing suits.
And I thought that, like, you know, if I dress like a boy, if I dress in loose clothes, like, these things are not going to happen to me. Or, like, boys won't find me attractive. No. Sometimes they like you even more when you're like that.
Well, you're hiding yourself, and you think that that's going to protect you, but it doesn't.
Yeah, it's not about the clothing, right? And that really, again, kind of just feeds into rape culture and all of that. But, you were saying, like, confidence looks different. And I think confidence has looked different for me in all of my whole life.
In 10 years, it might be something
like
totally different.
The first time I ever wore a crop top, it was like one of those that did cover my belly, but I still wore, I think, sweats over. But I was like so scared, but when I did it, I was confident in it, and that was a big step. When I wore shorts and a fitted tank top, oh my god, showing your legs, especially because I have dancer, I have like thunder thighs, so everybody always tell me I had nice legs, so I was super self-conscious about that. And then now I'm like, I don't care. Well, you got to deal with it.
Don't look. If you don't like it, or if you like it, go ahead.
You like it.
It's just a weird feeling when you do that one thing that you're like, this is like so much a crop top. I remember the day I bought a bikini for the first time. I was either this size or a little bit bigger, and we were in Hawaii, and I was like, I'm gonna buy a bikini. The store actually has bikinis that fit people like me, and I was like, I bought it, and I was on the beach in Hawaii. I'm like, this is the weirdest feeling. Just thinking about it kind of makes me feel like wanting to cry, actually, but it's just like such a weird thing, and because I had to wear tankinis, and I had to wear shorts, and I had to wear a shirt over the short, or whatever,
T-shirt and gym shorts was my thing.
So there's just something freeing and empowering about doing all those little things that you were never supposed to do or not allowed to do or whatever, but and dancing for me was it changed my life when I learned how to do it. And so I gave a speech once at Toastmasters about how dancing changed my life. And I was like, I never really thought about it that way, but it definitely did.
It really does. It does change your life. I would say for me, it's helped me center myself. Sometimes I'm like, I could be having the worst day ever, but I know as soon as I step in through the studio doors or a class by an instructor that I really like or classes that I take, I'm gonna walk out of there feeling a lot better.
And sometimes it's just that you showed up.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's that you're pushing yourself. Sometimes that you're learning something new.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is, but it's different every time sometimes. But you just gotta like do it.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I ever did any of those kinds of things by myself. That was also a very empowering thing for myself too.
I was gonna say dancing also helped me be more feminine, because I did grow out of the the basketball shorts and the freaking big t-shirt and the hoodie, you know.
Yeah.
But dancing really pushed it, I think, to that next level. I already knew how to do my makeup because I always loved artsy stuff and everything growing up. And my mom, my dad, my uncle, they all knew when I was in my room, nobody go in there because she gets so shy because she's practicing doing makeup, right? So I already knew how to do makeup. I knew how to do hair, but I was, again, because you can't look pretty because you're going to get attention.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole thing, right?
It's a whole clusterfuck.
Yeah, and then, but then at the same time, you're being told that you're ugly because you're too big. So then I'm like, what the fuck? I'm just going to be ugly.
But cover your titties because...
But cover your titties and don't show your ankles.
That's it. But also lose weight because no man will ever want you.
We're covered from pretty much head. I'm covered.
I know you are. Maybe we should have done this topless. I don't know.
No, but it really helped me with like, because you know we wear leotards. Sometimes there's a lot of skin
a couple
showing.
of those outfits from the first dancer, I was like, what the fuck am I wearing? My whole foot was out. I'm like, Doris, everything's out. She's like, it's fine, you'll be fine. I'm like, but everything is out. I'm scared one of my lips is gonna come out. I was like, at least well, if mine comes out, yours is coming out too.
Yeah,
so
or titty's gonna pop out.
Oh my
you just
God.
kind of, you learn, you know, through it. And like, again, it's in the movement. The costumes are made to make sure that you're covered and that you look nice when you move.
Yeah.
And now it's hilarious. I find it every season when we get ready for Showcase that our director M, our CEO, wonderful woman, she's the one that has me check everybody's makeup and their hair to make sure that it's fine. So going from that to that, I would say it's huge, you know.
Yeah.
And now that I'm comfortable wearing makeup too, because before I'd be like, I don't care, you know. But I think there's also something powerful about being able to just get ready a little bit. So even if that is a little bit of concealer, mascara, brushing your hair, because I was the type, straight out the shower. I had long hair, okay, like Rapunzel hair. Would just put it up, put on my church clothes and go. Ooh, my mom would be so pissed because I wouldn't even brush it. I'm like, what's the point of brushing it if, you know, it's gonna go up?
Yeah.
Pissed.
Oh, that's funny. I was like the opposite because I always had to like, I looked like a little Mary Kay lady at like 14. I'm not joking. I look like a realtor. I have pictures.
Are you gonna put a picture up so they can see?
I don't even have them, but I'll
put in one of my tomboy ones.
We should put it in the show notes or something like that.
Yeah, we'll put it.
But yeah, I was like the opposite. I wouldn't leave the house in my 20s without eyeliner and makeup, even though it was like the worst eyeliner and makeup ever.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I've gone on dates without any makeup on before, and it's such a freeing experience. I'm like, I could be sexy and sexual without any makeup and whatever. And it's nice. It's also a very empowering feeling to just be like, this is just me, and I'm just raw, and this is who I am, and I can be sexy with all the stuff, and I can be sexy without all the stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, it's almost like the opposite in a sense, but well, and sexy was a bad word anyways.
It was a bad word. I still feel like icky saying it.
I remember when
I say, instead of saying sexy, I was like, oh, I don't know. See, like,
I can't even say it.
I can't say it. Like, so I've had people tell me you look very sexy today, and I'm just like, yeah. But that's, you know, I think that's a lot of the, like, you can't talk, like, sexy equals sex, right?
Yes. I told my mom I knew what sex was because I got in trouble for saying sexy one time when I didn't know what it meant. I think I said my Barbie looked sexy. My mom's like, that is inappropriate. Do not say that word. And then I found out what sex was, and I was like, Mom, I whispered, do you know that word sexy? She's like, yeah. I was like, I know what it means. And then she was like, oh no! And then she gave me the sex talk later. But I just think it's funny when I think of that.
Oh my God. Yeah, and I think that's something, a lot of people have been telling me that now. So I'm like, you need to.
Because it comes from the inside too. It's not just about like what you're wearing. It's the sexy is
Especially when I started taking heels class, I think a lot of that.
Oh, yeah,
I started getting those, right? Because it helps like bring out a lot. So I think, again, I always say if I can find somebody or people that make me feel the way dance feels, I want to keep them around in my circle.
Yes, I love that. I kind of ebb and flow with my dance thing sometimes. Sometimes I take a break, and I have to take. I'm kind of taking a break right now, unfortunately, because of my shoulder.
I miss you.
And but I've been doing this for like 12 years or 15. I don't know how long now, but I always go back, and then I want to kind of. I'm at the place where I want to like explore some different kinds of stuff for myself. So we'll see how that plays out. But on your Instagram, and.
I'm kidding.
It was, how do you know when is the right time to move on from something?
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so the question was, how do you know it's time to move on from something? And I was like, oh, that one kind of just like hit me in the gut because, oh my God, I don't know. I'm like, I don't want to get emotional. I could be like coming, but this past year I went through a breakup. And it was, I think, one of the hardest things for me to walk away from. And then the previous year before that, I had to walk away from a job that I just completely loved. And so I think in both situations, I learned that, like, when you're not in alignment with your core values and who you are, or you find yourself moving away from that or compromising those things, or maybe you're saying that you're open to it, but really it is you kind of changing yourself to fit in whatever mold of person, organization, whatever it is, then you got to take time to reevaluate and see if this is for you or not. And I think that's kind of when when things are not aligned with what you want and what you need to. Because what you want and what you need are two very different things. Is when I think that's time to walk away. I know for people it's very different because people have different tolerances for things, but I think because I've always been a people pleaser and again, a lot of work that I've done and continue doing to not be a people pleaser, it takes sometimes longer. Because you don't want to disappoint that person or that organization or that boss or the people that you have around you. Or I think that's that other part of like, who else is going to be able to do what I've done, or, or there's that other part too of like, I think I invested so much and then I'm walking away with pretty much not a lot. Or just like, I don't know, I'm a person when I dive in all the way, like, but that's also, I think, the part where I had to like check myself of like, okay, you can't fully immerse everything to the point where you can't even recognize yourself.
You lose yourself in something.
That, and then also just the way that I'm treating people, right? I'm not treating the people that really care about me in a way that is nurturing the relationship that we have. And so if I'm turning toxic, but also being in something toxic, then it's a lose-lose situation. And so I think, again, when you start seeing yourself kind of go off the rails, or I think another thing is like hiding information from your friends. That's
you're in a toxic relationship where your best friend doesn't know some of the dirty details of the things.
Yeah, and that's not, and that's not for like, that's not me even talking about my previous relations. That's just like
in general.
General, yeah. And I think that's, those are moments where I knew I just had to walk away. And I think when I walked away from both of those situations, I don't know, I think a part of me was like, okay, super heartbroken. I think there's still things that I'm processing through too. And yeah, I think there's still, you never lose love for wherever you put love in. Whether that's a place, that's a person, that's, your pet, I don't know. That love's always going to be there. And I think I've learned that love doesn't have to be all or nothing. It could be, love is an energy. It's something that's always going to be active, and whatever was and happened. And that doesn't mean that those things go away.
Doesn't mean the good times didn't matter.
Yeah.
I've had those things too. Like I think when you're constantly stressed and anxious and tired, those are all signs that maybe the situation that you're in is not healthy anymore.
Yeah.
And sometimes we just forget because we're so focused on doing what we got to do.
Yeah.
Or getting through the day or being there for someone else. And we forget that we are not being there for ourselves and we're not honoring ourselves.
Yeah.
In our relationships or situations or workplaces or whatever. Like I've had both of those things in the last few years too, and they're really big deals to walk away from, and it's really hard.
It's hard.
To do. But I'll tell you, the second I did it, I felt like I
was a mess, girl. I was a mess both times.
I mean, it's really hard to do the thing, but for me, I felt as soon as I left it and I did the thing, I felt like this relief, and I was ready. I was like, I can breathe again. I feel like fine, but it's still hard to go through that. But and some people maybe don't feel that. I don't know. That's how I felt in certain situations, at least. But
yeah, I think for me, it's like I've found myself in the pattern of like I've known for a while, but I stick it out because I still have hope.
Yes, I've done that too. And then when you're done, you're like, finally, I'm done.
Yeah, because again, I'm like a lot of my friends would say, you're a ride or die. Like you are the definition of ride or die. So until I've exhausted all of my options and strategies or whatever, then that's when I walk away, and then even if I'm crying and I'm super sad and all that, I'll still walk away.
Because you can be sad. That's normal. You're supposed to be sad when things end. That's a normal part of being human.
And then I've also learned that not all endings are bad. And I think one of them was the work situation was kind of, but with my relationship, I think I learned that it was so funny because in that previous job, my coworker was the one that said, not all endings have to be bad. Like you can have healthy endings. And I think with him and I, it was one of those things where it was like that. And everybody was kind of shocked.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you two being toxic towards each other? But really, both of us are just like, there's already so much of that crap in the world, we don't need to do that.
And that's a healthy thing, though. That's
yeah,
so nice.
And I think for me, it was a first step because I was so used to burning bridges or cutting people off. Yeah, but I was faced with somebody who I've loved for so long and still love now, where it's like, okay, this is ending, but this is going to look different afterwards. And so I think having to sit with that and then knowing that this isn't an end-all, be-all type of thing, but it's just like it just didn't work out, was the first time for me. I'm like, okay, yeah, you can have endings like that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I guess, to answer your question. It's like when your values and stuff aren't in alignment.
I think we just forget to pay attention to ourselves and our values sometimes.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
I always go back to that. I think that's one of the things, and I have people around me that center me, especially times when I feel like I'm kind of going off the rails or have my really ups or my downs. They're always like, just remember to breathe, like you're doing great and all that. Because again, for me, I'm very hard on myself and I have really big goals. And so sometimes when things don't go my way, it goes life's way, I just freak out.
Yeah.
Freak out. So it's important to have people like that around you too.
Yes.
And to support you when you need to walk away from things. Because it's harder when you're alone. But if you're alone, if you're listening and you don't have anybody, just know that you can do it. And just really make sure that you center yourself around what's really important to you and what you need. And then from there, honestly, you'll be able to draw in those people that are in alignment with you. Because I also went through a thing where I basically, all of my college friends that I have, stopped. That was it. That one.
Yeah.
That one was a big heartbreak. I would say one of the bigger heartbreaks that I've had too. And so I had to relearn to just be open to people wanting to be my friend.
Friendship breakups are sometimes the hardest things.
So it was friendship breakups,
work
breakup, and then romantic relationship breakup.
Unfortunately, all of those things are a part of life. They're really hard.
What everybody's told me that's older than me, oh, it's your 20s, and I'm like, I hate this so much.
Your 20s suck ass. I'm just gonna say. Your 30s are where it's at. Honestly, I'm so happy in my 30s. I mean, I'm almost out of my 30s, unfortunately, but I learned a lot in my 20s, and I learned a lot more in my 30s. And so I was like scared to be 30, but it was awesome. So don't be afraid of it. You got it. You're kicking ass.
I just want to be in my
20s.
30s so I can just not deal with the 20 drama.
You're almost there.
I can't. Well, I realized, you know, I don't know, people in their 20s are really just going through it.
I don't want to laugh. That sounds mean, but it's true.
Like, it's sort of like the 25 to 27 situation, I'm like, geez.
It's rough.
I feel like barely now I've come out of it.
It's a new year almost. We're almost out of it. Soon you'll be in your 28s. I forget. When is your birthday again?
February.
Okay, February, yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on this podcast. I appreciate it. We could probably talk for hours and hours, and maybe we'll have you on and talk about more stuff another time. Thank you for sharing today and being open and vulnerable with whoever watches or hears this.
Thank you for inviting me, and hopefully, I feel like I was rambling a little bit, but it's okay.
That's what podcasts do. Have you watched them? People just ramble for hours. It's
I
fine.
know. I just.
But we kept it under control. We've talked about a couple things. I think we did a great job.
Yeah. I just, I don't know. Talking about emotions, I think right now is just a little.
It's hard.
I'm trying not to feel, but it's okay.
No, we have to feel our feelings. I'm sorry.
This full moon doesn't let me not feel my feelings. Yeah. So. Wow. Oh yeah, then happy Halloween.
Tomorrow.
If you celebrate Halloween, which I actually don't know if you did. You celebrate Halloween?
Not really.
I didn't celebrate. Well, I don't even. See, I'm scared to even say it, but I participate.
I did a little bit. Like we just did fall festivals, and I was never allowed to trick or treat. I just went to like one or two houses next door to me, but that was it.
No, we didn't. That's the devil's birthday.
Yeah, we really didn't. We did fall things, but that's it. And so I've done it a little bit here and there as an adult, but this year I'm like meh. Maybe I'll put on some ears tomorrow. I don't know.
I was a cat though. Meow meow. That's my sign off. Meow meow.
Okay, I guess we'll just end it there then. Meow meow everyone.